as you know, I don't know if you're aware, I guess it's called a hate crime. Someone took our pride flag and threw it in the river. And two young people went and retrieved it and brought it back to the town hall. And I just thought that deserves recognition. I mean, you hear such horrible things about young people today, and here are two young people. They weren't expecting any recognition. They brought it back and left it outside the town hall. We were quite grateful and pleased to see it. So you think it should be publicly acknowledged.
So they had to wade out into the river to retrieve the flag.
I think so. Well, there's not much water in the river, but
no, I was gonna say,
yeah. So anyway, they did, and like I say, they brought it back. They left it right under we have a security camera, and they left it under the camera, gave us a little wave, and off they went. So we managed to track down who it was, and we'd like to publicly acknowledge their good deed.
And those folks are Emily McCullough and Riker Brown. So you're going to give them a kind of a really neat-looking certificate, I gather.
Yes. Stan, our admin man, he can whip up something that looks really sharp. And like I say, it probably mean more to the parents than the kids, but anyway, they should be acknowledged. So.
Now, you were saying that people are saying and doing terrible things to young people. What is it they're saying about me?
Oh, I don't think we haven't heard. The only thing worse than being talked about, Bill, is not being talked about. So
I was just trying to connect with young people there. I remember that term from several decades ago.
Yes, we'll take Oscar Wilde for that.
Exactly. Now you want to appoint some fire inspectors. I don't recall that ever being on the agenda. Are these towns folks that are going to look over the shoulder of the fire department, or
well, no, I'm not 100% clear on it. I'm pretty sure Linda will give us a full explanation tonight, but it's something we have to do, I guess, on a yearly basis, and of course, it's got to be approved by council, any appointments we do. So anyway, Linda will give us the background. And it'll go to a vote, and I'm more than likely it'll be voted yes, and that'll be it. But like I say, it's a very light agenda we have tonight. Very light. But we've had a lot of special council meetings for the last 10 months. So, this kind of dotting all the I's and the T's before the summer break.
Uh-huh. Now, let's go back to the fire inspectors for just a moment. It just occurred to me that you would have people who you appoint to the position, and their role and their function would be to go around and visit, certainly the business community. I don't think they go to private homes or anything, but they could if they were pointed to a home that they thought might be in jeopardy, a home that might not be up to snuff and up to standard. You could have a fire inspector perhaps go take a look. But I think there's a plan that fire inspectors pay a regular sort of visit to the businesses and so on, because they're required to have certain fire safety regulations in terms of signs and in terms of fire extinguishers and the like. And I guess if you don't bother to look from time to time, they could forget about it and get somewhat out of date. So maybe that's what we're talking about. You'll have somebody go around to the business community and make sure it's a safe place to work, first of all, and a safe place for people to come in to be customers.
Correct. And what you're saying there is ringing a few bells for me. So I think you're probably on the right track, Bill.
But I think it's interesting that both of us kind of forgot about it, because that's exactly what fire inspectors are for, to remind us of the need for constant awareness of fire safety. We're bad at that, aren't we?
Well, that's why they always say change your smoke detector batteries when the time changes. Get that into a habit. Otherwise, people just put up their smoke detectors and forget all about them. So change those batteries twice a year. This is what the fire department pushes.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, they don't want extra work. So by reminding us.
Yeah, speaking of fire departments and fire inspectors, apparently you've got a letter on the agenda from the Nova Scotia Office of the Fire Marshal. Do you know what that's about yet?
No, I don't. I'll be honest, I haven't read through the full agenda yet. My computer wasn't working. Well, you saw the problems we were having with our email. But I will get caught up before the meeting, but I imagine it has something to do with the role of this fire inspector, would be my guess.
Ah. Now, speaking of that, there's a correspondence section in the agenda. It's almost always there. There isn't always necessarily a letter to respond to, of course.
Right.
But you have one this time, and a letter, somebody's asking about helping to keep kids and youth aware of, quote, stranger danger, end of quote. A program for this summer and beyond. Councillor Moore seems to be concerned about it.
Yes, and there's been a few incidences take place in Nova Scotia over the summer, but let's be careful of strangers out there. Those two missing children in Pictou County. I mean, something's going on. So I don't know what, but let's keep a little closer eye on our kids. I mean, they're a valuable part of our society, and let's be diligent out there. And there is this stranger danger. As much as we hate to, talk about it a lot, we should make the children aware of it, the kids aware of it, and us be aware of it as well. School's out, kids don't pay much attention, it seems. We've all got to keep our eyes peeled, keep them sharp.
I can remember when the concerns started to rise. I mean, back in the day when you and I were children, and I don't know if you can remember that far back or not, but when we were children, we were somewhat warned of, don't get in a car with a stranger, don't go somewhere with a stranger. But then it became more critical some years later when it was don't even talk to a stranger. If you don't know them, don't talk to them. And, I think we kind of got a situation where we were scaring our own children to think if you don't know the person, you got to run and hide. And that's really not what we're talking about here, equipping the kids to know the danger among strangers, not that every person that you do not know is a dangerous person. It could be, but that's not necessarily true. And sometimes we go too far, and then it means nothing anymore. So, I mean, we're in a bit of a pickle today. We have an issue with the strangers and people doing things they shouldn't do, and we have loving kids that we want to desperately protect. But the kids today are left on their own so much, their own devices even. The latchkey kids coming home from school, for example, and nobody's home because mom and dad are working, or worse, there's only one mom or one dad in the household. We've got a real situation with our children today, and I think we all need to realize that from the mayor, the councillors, the guy on the radio, we all have a role to play in protecting children as part of the community.
Excellent. Well, that's well said, Bill. I agree with you totally. Yes, we all have a role to play. So, and let's step up and fill that role.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yes.
And then, of course, the first thing somebody's going to say, but it's your fault, Mr. Mayor. There's nothing for our kids to do. You must get sick and tired of hearing about that one.
Well, I don't. Now, our MPAL person has been busy, and there's lots going on right now. We've got the skate park all dollied up quite nice. We've got Canada Day taking place. We've got some, not as big as Pugwash, but we do have Canada Day events taking place here in town. The theater has been kickstarted. They're showing movies again at the theater, which hasn't happened in a long time, as far as I know. We've even got a street dance taking place on Canada Day on Rideau Street I think it's from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Canada Day. If you're not down in Pugwash, you can come out and maybe do a waltz around the street in Oxford.
A waltz? You're going to have a street dance and you're talking waltz?
Well,
you're telling your age. Yeah, you really are. There's going to be a lot of kids out there saying, what's a waltz, Mom? What's he talking about?
Okay, so maybe I am dating myself. But before I forget, I want to throw out a congratulations to all the graduates of OREC. I think graduation's tomorrow night. They're all ready to sort of step out into the world, and welcome to the new world, I guess, for the graduates. But I wanted to say a word of congratulations from the Oxford Town Council and staff.
Oh, nice touch. And of course, they would have a prom, I would think, and they'd be their chance to waltz, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, they're not going to let me live that one down, are you?
I am never going to let you live that one down, no.
I was going to say cut a rug. but there's no rug on it. It's on asphalt. They'll be dancing. So I couldn't say cut a rug. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You get somewhat excited every time you talk about the MPAL, and of course, you guys live by your acronyms, your initials, but that's the Municipal Physical Activity Leader, MPAL. And you've had a couple of them so far, both are really, really good folks. And your current edition of MPAL, like you say, has got things going on all over the town.
Yeah, well, I think she was telling me the other morning they had 108 kids register for soccer, which is, wow, really impressive.
That's got to be every kid in town.
Well, you would think so.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's a lot of kids. Look, there's stuff to do for these kids. And, you just got to get out there and get involved. You stand around and say, there's nothing for me to do. Well, there is. We've got a very active seniors club that will let anybody sort of waltz through the door. So waltzing again. Here we go.
Yeah. They even let me in there. I've been there a couple of times. It's a great spot.
It's a great spot. And they're having a fundraiser barbecue at the town gazebo tomorrow. No, Friday. It's Friday from... I think it's from 11:30 to 1:30. Having a barbecue fundraiser for, they're doing some more work at the Oxford Seniors Club. So anybody looking for a quick meal, that's the place to go and support the seniors.
Now, see, all that information you're talking about, that's what we look for from our community correspondent, Mark Rushton. And, and I have a suspicion that you get all your information from Hello Oxford. So you're robbing from him and telling him what he's supposed to tell us tomorrow.
Well, it's just written on my list here of things to talk. I could talk about the asset management plan we had last week. We had an asset management meeting. Matt DeLorme was with the asset management group, gave a talk, and we sent it out over Facebook and Zoomed it. And it talked about our infrastructure and the challenges that not only Oxford will be facing in the next number of years, but almost every community in Canada that sort of started putting in infrastructure after World War II, and the fact that it is deteriorating daily, and there's been no money put towards it by any community.
That's right.
And now we're going to be in a crisis situation.
But having said that, let me stop here, because we've talked about that before. There's probably no town anywhere that's more aware of the crisis in infrastructure with regard, especially to water pipes and sewer pipes and crumbling town halls, than is the case in Oxford. So when you met with Matt DeLorme and had this public meeting, did you learn of any new concerns that they have identified that perhaps you had missed?
Well, there wasn't too many new concerns. The thing I took away from it was that he is very impressed with how Oxford is dealing with the asset management plan we have, the plan we have over the next number of years. And he says, we're not leading anybody in the province, but we're in a better placement. Oxford's gotten itself in a better placement. We've got this nailed down. We've got plans. He says a lot of municipalities haven't even gotten that far yet. So we're on the right track. He was very impressed with what we've accomplished so far. And I took that as a sign that, we're doing all right here then. We're doing things right. Hopefully we can get things repaired in a timely fashion before anything becomes a crisis.
Well, to be fair and to be honest, of course, Oxford has been pressed into service more than any other place, too. The crumbling water pipes has made them very self-aware for a long time. And so you couldn't duck it. You couldn't ignore it. And that awareness is right on the lips of all of your taxpayers and your councillors, of course, as well. So good on you that he recognized you're on top of the problem, and that's much appreciated.
Well, we want to keep the town a town. We don't want to see it crumble and be like some of the other communities and end up being absorbed into another municipality.
Oh, that's an interesting thought right there. We should talk about that someday.
Oh, we can. I mean, like I say, I like Cumberland County, but I'd rather keep Oxford separate.
I think the folks around you would agree.
Yeah, most of them. Some don't, but I think we're far better off determining where we put our tax dollars.